If you want to make the most out of your home workouts, whether it's because you don't want to go to the gym, you hate the gym, you can't afford the gym, whatever the reasons are, because if we look at the population at large, it is mostly sedentary. And to mitigate that, I think we have to change our lens in realizing we can make impactful changes at home, but with some adjustments. And what I mean is maximizing our exercise selection so we could get the strongest signal without doing the most. Let me explain. I would say if you're hitting your main 6 categories of exercises, we're on the right track. First one being a squat, knee flexion exercise, be it squat or lunge, hip hinge exercise, whether it be some deadlift or RDL of some sort, a horizontal push, your push up or dumbbell press, horizontal pull, any type of row or body weight inverted row, vertical press, anything pressing overhead, and vertical pull with the pull-up. If we start with the squat exercises and your first reaction is like, ouch, my knees, well, we have to improve our knee mobility because they are designed to be great. So many of you might have started with a body weight squat, maybe going around knee height or with dumbbells beside you. Here's the thing. To get more out of this exercise, considering some obstacles, if you are training from home, you might not have the most extensive free weight supply. You don't have an unlimited number of dumbbells. Maybe you don't have a barbell. Maybe you do. Lucky you. What we lack in load, we have to make up in range of motion. That naturally will impose more tension to the target muscle areas in this knee flexion category, which is quads, glutes, and adductors. We all love the inner thigh muscles, okay? So that means we gotta go lower. And in order to go lower, imposing a deeper stretch on quadriceps and in the glutes, your knees do have to go beyond the toe line. I'm not saying you have to go this low right away, but if you can slowly work on, even if that means you hold on to something, try to get the knees a little more forward. Maybe you start in a wider stance so you can now impose a deeper stretch, not only in the quadriceps, but in the glutes as well. And the reason why I insist that you work on depth while at home, when you have the time, because look at the position I'm in right now. What position might you find yourself cleaning in? It's a great opportunity to master your body weight squat in a full range of motion so you can get more mobile knees and ankles. And if you ever find the opportunity to find yourself at a gym where you have access to heavier weights, you practice with your body weight enough where now that you've mastered the body weight squat, adding load is not gonna feel as scary because guess what? You prepared your body. Same thing with lunges. I will add a deficit by placing front foot on a block. You can even hold on to something. Look how that imposes a nice stretch on the glutes, lowering down and coming up. If you wanna play with a curtsy variation, setup is the same except you go diagonally back and stand it up instead of doing the donkey kicks. Because let me tell you, your glutes are huge. The signal is just not loud enough, strong enough to make them grow from pushing air. And the truth of the matter is, kickbacks are easier to do than deep squats and deficit lunges. And that's why people prefer the donkey kicks, the clamshells. And if you retort down below in the comments, Alicia, I feel my legs burning. Burning is not an indication of muscle growth. It can be, but it's not a straightforward correlation and it's not indicative of that exercise's effectiveness. For example, if I'm doing a set of front squats, if I can't get up on the 7th rep, it's not because my legs are burning. It's because my fast twitch fibers in my legs just cannot get that load up. And that level of tension is what incites not only muscle growth, but strength changes. And if you wanna make a difference at home and you don't have the most equipment, you have to choose the exercise that's gonna send the loudest signal. Don't waste your time with exercises with a low signal that feel, sure, challenging because it burns, but do the exercises that matter more. Do they all matter? Yes. Can you argue they all contribute something? Yes. But are you gonna choose the exercises that will give you bang for your buck? I most certainly hope so. Now we go into the hinge types. Hold on, let me reset this tripod. That's sending your hip back and coming up without changing the positioning of your knees. And this is where it gets tougher with home workouts, because the hamstrings or any hinge exercise, you will need to load in some way, at least 30% of your 1 rep max. And what that means in short is your maximum effort to just lift the load with 1 rep. You take 30% of that weight, and that at least puts you in the muscle building part of the spectrum. Maybe not much strength, but naturally, if you have bigger hamstrings, they're going to be stronger in some capacity. The problem is we can only load our own body weight to our hamstrings without heavy dumbbells or without a barbell. So instead, we might have to take some pot holders, gliders, anything that slides on a wood floor. Lift your hips, maintain this extended position, press heels out, and pull them in. Sorry, I did RDLs earlier, so my hamstrings are singing. Try not to let the hips drop. Maintain that high position as you slide the heels out and in. That would be my suggestion to hit the hamstrings at home. If you do have heavier dumbbells, then you could focus on sending your hips as far back as possible. Notice that I'm not just leaning forward, and this is a huge challenge that people encounter in not feeling their hamstrings but their low back, because they're not pushing their hips back in space. They're simply just folding over from their low spine. In order for your hamstrings to be the limiting factor, which is what we want in our hinge exercise, your hips have to go back in space. And notice that they are behind my heels. So now that you have the load down under you, you can use hamstrings and glutes to come back up. Again, another exercise, fantastic for your glutes. Not the donkey kicks. If you want a more specific glute exercise, elevated hip bridges. And I'll use this fine cushion here. Also, when you're working out from home, it's an opportunity to get creative. Make sure, however, with whatever furniture you're working on, that it is stable, that it's not old, that it's not going to break under your weight. Whatever pressure you place on it, it will survive. Okay, a regular hip bridge might be fun to do, but because there is not a large stretch at the bottom, there's not a lot of range of motion in a hip bridge because the floor is in the way. But if we could at least make the floor deeper by placing our heel, or rather foot, on something higher, now we can really get that stretch at the bottom in the glute and make the exercise tougher. And you probably have heard me say already 1,000 times, deeper stretch, deeper stretch, deeper stretch. In the literature, it shows that the most muscle building part of the exercise is at the loaded stretch position. That's where the said target muscle has the least advantage in producing tension, but making it do so despite the disadvantage is what makes it grow. Also, on the other end, a shortened position can also make the muscle grow. But again, since we don't have the load, we only have maybe our body weight, we have to rely on the larger ranges of motion to send a stronger signal when we don't have the heavy load to do so. Now that we've covered lower body for the most part, into upper body. And the horizontal push, you're probably thinking push-ups. And if you're like, Alicia, my wrists, just like the knees, we have to have better wrists. And the reason our wrists are probably trash is because they mostly are in a flex position. Whether you're typing, maybe you are in a trade that requires you to be ultra crafty with your hands, device holding. Rarely do we place our wrists in a loaded, extended position. And I would even say if you are unable to actively extend your wrists, it's an indication that you probably will experience pain if you load them in a similar way. Now, obviously, if you aren't able to do push-ups, we might have to place you higher where you are on an incline and you push in this way. Sorry, I'm out of frame. You can even do something higher on the counter. Maybe you work on a higher counter, lowering the chest and pressing up. And if you're still experiencing wrist issues, then we might have to, again, address your wrist mobility so it can produce tension in that extended position. That might be another video altogether with the knees and the ankles and the wrists. And if you have dumbbells, then just use the dumbbells lying on your back. Here's another adjustment I would suggest you make. I don't have dumbbells with me, but I do have a block. Placing the block right underneath your shoulder blades, now you're able to lower your elbows more so than they would go if lying directly on the floor. I will also place another block behind your head so that you are aligned from top of head down to your shoulder blades. But again, just for the sake of demoing, I'm lowering my head to the floor. Now your elbows can go below your chest point, imposing a wicked stretch to the chest, shoulders, as well as triceps. And you're like, Alicia, how come I can just do tricep kickbacks? Tricep kickbacks are probably one of the lower tier exercises you can do for your triceps. And I'll explain why. Remember how I was going on about low to stretch this, low to stretch that when going over the lower body exercises? Okay, in a tricep kickback, the hardest part of the exercise is in the shortened position. And it gets hard probably around here when the elbow fully extends. There's no tension in this position, the stretch position. Now, what can we do to change the kickback so that it imposes a deeper stretch on the triceps in a loaded position? That means bringing the arm overhead so the weight now can pour tension into the tricep, and now this has to work hecka hard to extend the elbow overhead, or you will go on your back with your dumbbells, and you don't have to lay on a block for this one. You have arms right over your chest, you bend the elbows, and look at that. You get a nice stretch here and extend back over your chest. Kickbacks. Again, do you want to do the exercise that's going to give you the most bang for your buck? If you do, and you have light dumbbells, I'll tell you right now, you'll be here all day and your triceps just won't grow as well and as fast if you do the overhead exercise or the lying down skull crusher variation, or you master your push-ups, because obviously in the low position, your triceps now have to produce a lot of force to get your chest up by extending the elbows. Because let me tell you, the juicy triceps you see out there did not come from kickbacks. I promise you. Now we have the horizontal pull, and that is your row variation. So pulling the elbow up beyond the rib cage or pulling yourself up. And here I have an example of my equalizer bars that I have in my home. I'm at Maddie's house. I'm babysitting a little Westie at the moment. I think body weight rows are probably one of the best exercises a beginner or even beyond beginner level can do, especially if they have limited equipment, in order to target the muscles in your back in a meaningful way. Because if you have light weights, there's only so much tension you're forcing your lats, your rhomboids, your traps, even depending on your elbows position. That's a whole different video. Any of those muscles can produce, but if they have to pull your own body weight up, and you can make the exercise tougher by becoming more parallel. If you have a TRX system at home, pull yourself up. You could pull the elbows in narrow, 45, 90. There's really no right or wrong degree in terms of the elbow positioning, because they all count. If your shoulders are able to move in this range, why not just get strong in each and every angle possible? If you happen to have heavy dumbbells, I wouldn't focus so much on getting the elbow up. The chattiest part of a row is in this stretched position. Allow your scapula, your shoulder blade, to slide down. Don't just stop here, all right? The magic happens here. And yes, purposely round your upper back. It's meant to round, so why not do it? Pull, stretch, 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 pull, stretch, 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 pull. You can even do the same with two arms at the same time. Stretch, 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 pull, stretch, 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 pull. Allow your shoulder blades to move. They are meant to protract and retract. Why not get them as wide as possible in that position? And now we've arrived at what's probably one of the most challenging parts of home workouts. That is the pulling. I understand that if you cannot do a pull-up or you don't have the space for a pull-up bar, hear me out. If you can at least do your inverted body weight rows, we are on the right track, because those might take you a while to master anyway, where you are now in a better, stronger place to start implementing pull-ups. And maybe at that point in time, you will have already accessed a pull-up bar. Maybe you bought one. Maybe you're at the gym and you've been practicing your pull-ups. I can't tell you how important it is to add some sort of pulling or hanging in your home routine. Because if we want to treat this in a more holistic manner, in targeting our entire body, and that means all of the muscles, there are a lot of muscles on your back that would truly appreciate a pulling, or specifically a vertical pulling exercise. Even if you have like a bar to hang off of and it's low to the ground, just allow your shoulder blades to elevate. Just get it moving here, you know what I mean? Maybe you have a playground nearby that you could practice hanging on. Try your best to get them in some way, somehow. So those are my suggestions. It's straightforward, it's not fancy. These are the exercises that are tried and true, that have never failed, that people don't want to do because they're boring, they're too basic. This is what works. And how do you get stronger? How do you build more muscle? You practice the same movement and you make the exercise harder. Yes, the easiest way is to add more weight, but if you are limited by equipment in terms of what you have available at home or what you have access to gym-wise, then we have to dial up the range of motion. Then we have to tweak our technique in order to send a strong enough signal to our muscles to not only become stronger, but to get bigger. And for my women out there who are afraid to get bulky from a home workout, it's not going to happen. You will have to go through tremendous means, and you probably have to take steroids to get big from a home workout. So when I say build muscle, bigger muscles, they're not going to get so big that you're going to appear like a bodybuilder. But be clear, what we are doing is building the body. So by nature, this is bodybuilding, whether you want to like it or not. I hope this video helped. If you were having issues refining your home workout, or you weren't seeing results, you felt like you were spinning your wheels, taking a bunch of YouTube fitness whatever videos, and there wasn't any improvement, well, hopefully you can input these tweaks so now we can see and feel results from a better home workout. Any questions for me, leave them down below. If you're interested in online coaching, I have our call link down in the description box. And also I am working on a monthly membership option, lower cost, for those who just need a template to follow and need like a check-in from someone on the internet that you trust, obviously, but don't want to necessarily speak to me face to face on Zoom. I totally understand. I'll let you know when that is live, but until then, I'll see you again soon.